Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The trial of 2 people accused of murder following the death of a Risdon Vale tattoo artist has begun in Hobart's Supreme Court. Dwayne Davies was found buried in a shallow grave with gunshot wounds in 2017. Both his wife and close friend have pleaded not guilty to murder.
This is the Elderslie property where the murder of tattoo artist Dwayne Davies allegedly took place. His close friend Bradley Scott Purkis lived at the address with his partner and today stands trial for murder. The Crown's opening submission saying Mr Purkis killed his friend as part of a plan with Mr Davies' wife, Margaret Ann Otto, who's facing the same charge. It's alleged the pair had previously had relations. The court hearing in a police interview, she said she trusted Mr Purkis. He'd offered to help her leave the relationship with her husband and that she had previously told colleagues Mr Davies sometimes acted aggressively and it would be easier if he was dead. Prosecutor Madeline Wilson told the jury the pair harboured growing resentment towards Dwayne Davies and they agreed to kill him. And on the night of the alleged murder, the 26th of May 2017, Mr Purkis had invited his friend to his home. Mr Davies was in the shed when Mr Purkis entered, killing him by shooting him at close range with a gun. The court hearing the next day, Mr Purkis wrapped the body with a tarpaulin, dragged it to his car, where he drove to a property at Levendale, made a shallow bush grave and dumped it. Then Mr Purkis travelled to Ms Otto's house to tell her what happened face to face. At some point he'd also been heard saying loose lips sink ships. Mr Purkis's lawyer saying this story is false and his client had lost a friend that night and that he didn't kill him. Jurors hearing Mr Purkis shot Mr Davies, but Ms Otto is also involved in a way that she is guilty of that crime and that she'd lied to family and friends following the alleged murder in an attempt to shift attention away. To this, her lawyer stated this didn't mean there was an agreement and that she was lying to protect her friend. Justice Alan Blow today telling the jury that this trial will be long by Tasmanian standards. It could last up to 6 weeks, with more than 60 witnesses expected to take the stand. The trial continues tomorrow. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
A woman accused of being an accessory after the fact in the murder of a Launceston man will now plead guilty. Renee Lorraine Donald had pleaded not guilty to the charge after the body of Timothy Clark Robertson was found in April of 2017. She was remanded to face court again on March 20. A coroner has recommended safety upgrades be assessed at the Blackmans Bay blowhole following the death of a teenager in 2017. Handing down her findings, Coroner Olivia McTaggart found 17-year-old Margaret Mary Law died after falling over the cliff edge. Saying Maggie was a healthy and active teenager, labelling her death as a tragic accident. The coroner going on to recommend the Kingborough Council consider changes to the area to make it safer, including enhanced barriers, signage, lighting, seating and the installation of CCTV. Liberal member John Tucker has officially been elected as a member in Lyons following the sudden retirement of former MP and government stalwart Reen Hidding. After the results of the recount were revealed late this afternoon, Mr Tucker says he's looking forward to serving the electorate. The 6th generation Tasmanian was a councillor for 5 years on the Breakaday Council, but will now take his seat in the House of Assembly when Parliament resumes next week. Tasmanians have been invited to have their say on the future of the state's will and inheritance laws. The Law Reform Institute has launched an investigation into which assets from a deceased estate can be challenged in court by a spouse or child. The review, commissioned by former Attorney General Vanessa Goodwin, aims to make recommendations to government about whether laws should be changed in the future.
Anyone that feels as though they've been, overlooked in a will should have the right to apply for a judge to actually look at their personal situation.
We're asking whether or not the pool of assets should be broadened to include those assets that currently can't be claimed.
Community feedback is now open through the Institute until May 24th. Tasmania's Environment Protection Agency has given the green light for a new $54 million timber mill at Bell Bay. Patriarch Resources hopes to start construction at the former Southern Aluminium Wheel Plant by the middle of the year. The Greens say there are concerns over links to Patriarch's Malaysian parent company.
What we know is that the mill will need about 250,000 tonnes of timber each year, and some of that will be coming from native forests.
The company says it will only use wood from plantations and native forests currently being wood chipped. The project still needs approval from the Georgetown Council. Connections of Tasmanian horse EastEnder have gone to ground following yesterday's shock scratching at the Adelaide Cup. Sports reporter Tom Cooper has been following the story since it broke yesterday. Good evening, Tom. What's the latest?
Good evening, Joe. Well, it's still unclear just what South Australian racing stewards saw or found inside that stable yesterday to force them to scratch the gelding from the race, and Sprayton-based trainer Barry Campbell was unavailable for comment today. What we do know is there were concerns surrounding the race day treatment of EastEnder, and there's now set to be a full stewards inquiry as a result. Now, the horse recently became the first since 1977 to take out the Devonport, Hobart and Launceston Cups, and regardless of what happens with the inquiry, the Campbell stable still holds on to those 3 titles along with all the prize money, as the stewards' reports for those races came back clear. The horse was set to start as one of the favourites for yesterday's $400,000 Group 2 Adelaide Cup, so no doubt its connections are bitterly disappointed it couldn't run, and we'll know exactly why that was when the inquiry wraps up in a few weeks' time. Back to you, Joe.
A Tasmanian council says it's preparing for the effects of climate change, with concerns over coastal erosion and increased fire danger. Today, a small but passionate group gathered to put their ideas forward to protect the community.
The sky is anything but clear when it comes to the impacts of climate change. Northwest beaches have long borne the brunt of erosion and ocean surges. Those concerns have prompted Central Coast Council to prepare.
But I think the biggest risk, to be honest, for this location would be exposure to bushfire. In terms of bushfire risks, there's probably over 2,000 properties in the bushfire risk hazard layer.
Today, a small but dedicated group gathered in Ulverston to put their ideas forward.
Well, this has been talked about for an awful long time, so I'm just hoping there will actually be some action.
I'm involved with community projects to do with shorebirds and to do with penguins, and they are going to be definitely affected by climate change.
I've got scepticism about it because with it come tectonic plate movements and sea level, which not many people can actually tell you.
Today's meeting was all about pairing local knowledge with the science to get the plans right.
One adaptation action might be to build a seawall, but that may have an impact on the local beach or some local species. And it's really important to inform the community about the types of adaptation actions that they may have to undertake.
The draft action plan is expected to be finalised by the end of the month. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, thousands of Tasmanian students are today preparing to join global protests, rallying for urgent action against climate change. On Friday, these students will march the streets of Hobart as part of the ongoing School Strike for Climate initiative, urging political leaders across the world to move quicker when it comes to saving our environment.
They should have already done it. They shouldn't be leaving it up to us to protest that it's our future. They should be protecting us. They're our parents. They're supposed to be looking out for us. We shouldn't have to be doing this for ourselves.
Similar protests last year saw around 15,000 students from across Australia walking out of their classrooms. They may only be in primary school, but a talented group of Tasmanian students is already shaping up to be our business leaders of the future, spending the day learning just how much technology can be used to benefit their own communities.
Solving the problems of the future. Our next generation of inventors using technology to improve their school.
It's about understanding that you can use technology and STEM subjects to come up with business ideas even in primary school.
Bowen Road Primary School, one of just 8 in Australia taking part in the NBN Run program. aimed at improving students' technology and entrepreneurial skills.
They love it. They love the hands-on approach to their learning, and they just love sharing the collaboration with their colleagues and with their students and putting it all together.
Jobs of the future, most of them haven't even been invented yet, and what's important for primary school students is to understand that technology is a tool that they can use throughout their lives.
Today, tasked with inventing a phone app with potential to help the school. Their ideas ranging from a program to order food from the canteen to reduce rubbish.
Some people just take their food out the plastic bag and they just drop it and they leave it, and it's bad for the environment.
To an app which helps students stay up to date with their work, even when they're away from the classroom.
It's useful for people who want to learn at home with parents and show parents the work they might have been doing at school.
In the coming weeks, the students will select their best ideas, then put them to the test against schools right across Australia. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A string of 2018 champions will return to Tasmania for this weekend's Oceania Road Championships, including Tasmanian Anya Lau, who took out the under-19 title at last year's event. She'll be joined by more than 150 riders from around Australia and New Zealand for 3 days of competition. The time trial events will begin in Evandale this Friday, with the road races to be held in Railton on Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, a team of amateur cyclists is gearing up to race from Prospect Vale Park to Deloraine for the 14th annual Western Tiers Cycle Challenge. Riding vintage bikes while dressed in retro sportswear, the team will raise funds for disability organisation New Horizons in Launceston.
That's just a theme we're running with. We're just happy to get anyone turn up. It's all for a good cause, it's a bit of fun, and that's what we're about.
We have got a great community in Launceston, and people really do get behind great causes, and we really need the community support to be able to keep our doors open for our members at New Horizons.
The cycling challenge begins at 7:30 a.m. on March 24. For the third year running, One Tasmanian Vodka has taken home the prestigious title of one of the very best in the world. HARTSHORN Distillery at Birches Bay has just been named Best Varietal Vodka of Australia at the World Vodka Awards in London. Its unique Sheep Way unfiltered vodka impressing the judges with its fresh and vibrant flavours.
When you drink it, so it's a lot more of a spirit to have almost like a whiskey, you know, have it neat or as a martini, keep it pretty simple.
The distillery, the only known in the world to still make its spirits from sheep whey, a byproduct of the company's other cheese-making business. Tasmania's art and culture scene is set to come alive over the next few months. Dancers today preparing for the state's iconic 10 Days on the Island festival, which kicks off tomorrow, as film experts prepare to celebrate our cinematic creators.
Using nature as a stage. Dance troupe Stompin' in final rehearsals for its performance Nowhere, ahead of tomorrow's opening night.
It's a really exciting work that is about the environment and sustainability and how the land has nurtured us humans as a species and how we are treating it in return.
The young performers, aged between 11 and 25, were inspired by their surroundings as part of the 10 Days on the Island festival.
A lot of the ways that we made our choreography was thinking about this site and the elements here, the reeds and the water and the wind.
This is one of the only opportunities we have to show such a diverse range of opinions across a young people's spectrum, and it's really putting their voices on a platform, which I think is important to 10 Days on the Island.
Meanwhile, from the stage to the big screen, organisers of the Breath of Fresh Air Film Festival today preparing to celebrate cinematic creators from all around the world, right here in Tasmania.
It's an international film festival, really. We've got films from 17 different countries. We get quite a significant number of people from the mainland and from around the state and so on. So it's a terrific opportunity for them to be taken seriously and have their work shown.
And over 50% of the 32 films on show are either directed by or have a strong focus on women.
So it's just a matter of women getting an opening and being recognised and being heard. And we hope that BOFA, in a small way, will help that process.
The festival kicks off in Hobart on May 10th, before heading up to Launceston on the 16th. Ruby COMMANE, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian Tigers' Sheffield Shield hopes are hanging on by a thread, with Western Australia's order digging in during day one of their clash at Blunston Arena. 3 of the Warriors' batsmen notching up half tons, with the visitors 7 for 334 a short time ago at stumps. With the Tigers winning the toss and electing to bowl, Cam Bancroft set about making them regret it. Fighting for his spot back in the Aussie side after serving out his ball tampering ban, he continued to push his case at the expense of the Tigers' quicks. Jackson Bird eventually swooping.
And that's off the outside edge, and Bancroft is gone. And WA loses its first wicket, 1 for 41.
Josh Inglis joining him in the shed soon after, thanks to one of the Tigers' fresh new faces.
That's off the edge, that's caught.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Well caught, a third slip by Sean Willis on debut.
The debutant.
That's a great catch.
The move to bowl first, then appearing more of a master stroke, as another one of the Australian order went cheaply in Mitch Marsh. But the Warriors' order still had some tricks up their sleeve after lunch, with Sam Whiteman reaching 50 before Bird claimed his second scalp of the day.
That beats the outside edge, and that's a wicket for Jackson Bird, and the vital breakthrough there for Tasmania.
Hilton Cartwright showing the paceman little respect though, as he notched up a half ton of his own.
And that's just swatted.
Wow, bang.
That was quick.
His run soon brought to an end on 66, courtesy of Meredith. Hurricane slugger Darcy Short wasting no time getting reacquainted with the Blunston pitch.
And that's driven very nicely, and that will go all the way to the boundary.
Short continued to frustrate the home side's attack as he raced towards 50, coming unstuck just 1 run short of the milestone. Josh Philippe ensuring the Tigers would be left with a tough task on day 2, notching up 76 runs before becoming Bird's 3rd victim of the day. Rebecca Van Ash has fallen painfully short of making the final at the Lawn Bowls World Cup in Warilla, New South Wales. The Tasmanian got off to a solid start, taking the first set 8-1 against New Zealand's Jo Edwards. But Edwards rallied in the second to claim it 9-1 and send the match to a tiebreak. In the end, the Kiwi was too good against her old rival, earning herself a spot in the final.
Good evening. As the days start drawing in, the temperatures have started to sit below average, some down by 8 degrees today. Hobart and Burnie 18, Launceston and St Helens our high around the state with 21 and Devonport 19 degrees. Friendly Beaches recorded 20, Cressy and Scottsdale 19, Flinders Island 18, King Island and Low Head 17 today, Ouse 16, Grove and Strawn 15 and Lyoweeney 10. Scattered low cloud over us today in a southwesterly airstream that brought 7 millimetres to Mount Reid and Strathgordon. Now cloud with a cold front and associated low across southeastern parts of the country. Cellular cloud is behind that front in a patch of cold air. Patchy middle level cloud is over the centre of the continent and northwest WA. Tomorrow, the high pressure centre over southeast Australia moves to the east. A cold front approaches Tasmania, while the interior of the country dominated by troughs. Winds southwesterly, easing to 15 knots before tending northwesterly at 20 knots over the west and south, winds swinging around to the northeast over the east coast. Now for tomorrow, Hobart becoming cloudy, 17 the top, 17 also for Geeston with a cool night and a light early shower, 16 the top for Bothwell with an even colder night down to 2. For the overnight low for Launceston, partly cloudy and 19 tomorrow, 17 for Devonport, bit of cloud for Cressy and 18 degrees. For Burnie, partly cloudy and 17 the top also for Strawn and Curry with a bit of cloud about. And in the east, we do have a frost warning in the east and also for the Midlands. 17 the top for St Helens, 18 for Swansea, Orford partly cloudy and 17 degrees. UV sitting at 6 and 7, which is high. On Thursday, a fine day and sunny over the east, a late shower over the west and far south. Showers clearing those areas on Friday with fine partly cloudy weather prevailing. And on Saturday, fine and mostly sunny. Just a slight chance of a shower in the north, but temperatures back up to the mid to high 20s. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow, some cloud cover over Adelaide, Melbourne and Brisbane, a shower and 24 in Sydney. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 13, 16 in Launceston right now and 14 in Devonport. A few chilly days coming up, Joe, for 10 days on the island, but you'll be right with your VIP tickets. Gee, you get looked after. Gee.
I should be. I work hard, man. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.